This week on Socratic Cinema.
You know, Charlie, what I couldn't stop thinking about while I was watching it?
Oh, what is this?
How much it reminded me
It's going to be Red Dead Redemption.
Yes.
of Red Dead Redemption 2. Not to like dunk on you or anything. I'm not trying, you know.
Dang, just break my ankles.
I know, sorry. It's like, sorry, but bad idea. No, I don't think I personally would have. If I were in that position, I simply would have not. I simply would have chose to forgive him.
You forgive him, yeah.
Yeah, listen. No.
Welcome back, everyone. It's good to be back. I'm here with my lovely co-hosts. And this week, we're taking it way back. We going to the Wild West. October. Mister. That was great, guys. That was great. All right.
Hey, good work, everyone. Thank you to the crew. Thank you, team, for making this possible.
We did that.
I
truly
really
did
tried to
that.
add some depth and anger to my performance. I think it came through. I think I was pretty gruff.
No, that was very passionate. All right. But hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Socratic Cinema. My name is Kasey Clark.
I'm Charlie Heatherly.
And I am the one and only James DeLisio.
Oh,
Yes, sir. All right. This week, we have something special. As you can tell, I was not here last week, so I'm coming back with a vengeance. And you'll realize in a minute why I'm going really heavy Western, because this week we are jumping into The Harder They Fall.
Yeah.
The Netflix original. And let me tell you guys, as you guys know, in our journey of the podcast, I love a Western. I'm not necessarily the expert on Western, but darn diggity dang it, do I love some black cowboys. So here we are. I'm back again. And let's just jump right into our initial thoughts. I'll throw it over to my good sir, Jiminy James.
Yeah. Oh, God. I thought you were going to go for a sheesh. I thought you were going to go full in on a cowboy sheesh.
I was really not prepared for that.
Well, Kasey, first of all, I'm sorry you missed Boys Night. You really should go back and listen to that one. Charlie and I had a lot of boy talk.
Yeah, 2 boys, 1 French dispatch. James has still not scolded me on that title yet, and I plan for it to never happen.
Just a lot of boying around. Just a lot of boys.
Yeah.
Just a lot of boys being boys.
Yeah, boys being boys.
Just some boys. Some boy toys. Some boy toys being boys. Boys.
Oh my gosh.
But
I'm glad you guys didn't burn down the house while I was gone.
No, we didn't. We kept things nice and in order.
Put the frame up behind the hole we punched in the wall. Just don't mention it to her.
Don't mention it.
But let's talk about The Harder They Fall. Notably, not the first movie about black cowboys starring Idris Elba that we've talked about on the podcast.
Yes.
Nonetheless,
yeah, baby,
it fulfills an entirely different ecological niche in the film landscape of black cowboys starring Idris Elba. This is an entirely different movie. Don't let that fool you. I really enjoyed The Harder They Fall. It's some quick facts for you. By the way, it's directed by James Samuel, who's also a music artist and did a lot of the soundtrack. Stars basically like everybody: Jonathan Majors, Lakeith Stanfield, Idris Elba. I hope I'm saying Zazie Beetz. Yeah, a lot of really brilliant performances in this movie. It was funny. It was really funny and snappy and cleverly written. Almost Quentin Tarantino-esque in terms of style. And it was just a very solid Western. I do think It personally, for me, dragged a little bit towards like the middle, maybe the like third quarter of the movie, I guess. I feel like it ran maybe just a little bit too long for my liking. And I also have conflicted feelings about the ending, I guess, but that's more of like a personal thing that I think we can talk about later because it's a weird journey. But I really enjoyed this movie and I had a lot of fun watching it, and I highly recommend it to anyone who loves westerns or Idris Elba or Lakeith Stanfield or any of those good guys and gals and non-binary pals.
Regina King's there too. Regina King as well.
Regina King is there too, among a lot of other people.
It was a stacked cast, guys. A stacked cast.
Mm-hmm. It was weird seeing. Yeah, I was just gonna say it was weird seeing Lakeith Stanfield in like a relatively minor role after so much of having him have all these very like nice leading roles like Judas and the Black Messiah and stuff. But nonetheless. His presence was welcomed in whatever form it came in. A wonderful. Cherokee Bill was a great character. Anyways, I'm hogging the mic. Someone take it from me.
All right,
Charlie.
Let me rip it away from you. Hey there, guys. My name's Charlie. White man TM.
Hi, Charlie.
No, don't make this like AA.
Idris Elba's anonymous.
Hi, Charlie.
No, it's so true. No, like when I saw that Idris Elba was going to be a black cowboy in this film after watching Concrete Cowboys, I was like, wow, he is typecasting himself into these roles at this point. But honestly, like James said, this is a very entertaining movie. And as a Western fan myself, I felt like it had exactly the right amount of going for the classics and cliches of the genre and then reinventing them in a fun, fresh way. The style of the director in this film is just dripping in every single frame. Like literally at some points, I was like, that frame looks like a painting because of how the set design really worked well with all the lighting and just the framing. It all came together beautifully. The soundtrack is incredible. And I'm actually very, very happy that we get people like Lakeith Stanfield as supporting characters, because something that happens a lot in minority-led movies is that Hollywood has a tendency to cast like the same 4 people in those types of films. Like you've seen Awkwafina in literally every movie that involves anything remotely Asian in it. Like regardless of whether or not it is, I believe she's Chinese because she did The Farewell. And that was a story specifically about a Chinese family. But I really like that we're actually exploring all these different kinds of actors. Like Jonathan Majors is going to be the next big thing. I'm calling it right now. He is so,
I love that man.
So good.
So true, bestie.
I even really like people like R.J. Seiler, I believe his name is.
Yes.
He's great as Jim Beckworth. That was one of my favorite characters.
You know who he was?
Who?
He was the Blue Power Ranger. And I was so excited to see him again because I loved him as the Blue Power Ranger in the Power Ranger reboot.
Oh my gosh. I forgot that was a
movie.
movie.
Where he was on the spectrum. It was, oh my gosh. Anyways.
You guys know what else he was in?
What?
War Machine. Not to be confused with Marvel Cinematic Universe property War Machine. No, I'm talking about Brad Pitt, Andy Moon director 2017 film War Machine. Netflix original that no one's ever seen.
What?
Oh, okay. I think this guy just stars in Netflix originals also, because I'm also seeing Sierra Burgess is a Loser, which is another Netflix original.
He was in that one.
He was in
willfully didn't watch that one.
Me, Earl, and the Guy Dying Girl, though. He was in that too.
Oh,
okay. He's been around the block. He was really good in this movie. He was probably my favorite character, Jim.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's okay.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about a lot of spoilers. So please watch the movie if you haven't already. But yeah, I really loved him in that role. I also loved Delroy Lindo as Bass Reeves. Probably the most badass character to me in this entire movie. Just how effortlessly, again, spoilers, how effortlessly during the final fight sequence, he's walking through the streets and just like shooting people without like looking at them at all. Amazing, incredible. And I also really like that they used historical figures as the characters in this movie, regardless of the fact that this is not what they did at all. You know, including someone like Bass Reeves makes me very interested to learn more about that kind of character. And I really hope that we get to explore historical Black cowboys in the future and maybe more accurate, historically accurate depictions. But that doesn't affect this movie at all. Again, go watch it. Incredible, super stylish. Loved it. 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I forgot to give it a rating. Oh, shoot. I would give it an 8.5.
Nice. Yeah, that's good.
Nice. All right, guys. I saw the trailer for this a while ago, and I definitely dropped it in. I think, did I drop it in the chat?
I remember.
You did.
Yep, I dropped it in the chat because I knew right then and there I was going to advocate for seeing this. Because I am so glad that I did. I had such a good time watching it. It's just really, because on this podcast we're always talking about like give Black people, Black characters more diverse stories, and dag nabbit, they're doing it.
They done did it.
They did it. And especially when it's like we're looking at this story where it's in the Wild Wild West, and they definitely touch on some racism very briefly, and no one is called the N-word in this movie.
Which
Can
I
we
read.
give it up for the dress? Please?
Yes, I thought was an intentional choice from the director. I don't know why his name slipped my mind. James Samuel. That was like an intentional thing that they like. There was a point that they were making.
See, and that's just so amazing to me because it's time period. It would have been quote unquote acceptable. We've seen Tarantino do it.
We sure have.
Yes, we sure have. That white man loves that word.
Why are you as a white man writing that?
Dang, he really sitting down with his lamp like, yes.
Cooking up to also play the character that says it like multiple times.
I know the actors get that screenplay like it's the golden ticket, bro.
Right. Oh my goodness. But that's on another. Anyways, that's a different topic, but I just had so much fun. The music, the storyline. We'll talk about the like plot twists and turns, but as Charlie was saying, about how these people, like the characters are based on real people, even though the story isn't true, which is funny because I had just watched Spencer last night, where it's essentially like the same get down, where it's like same characters, but like kind of fabricated how everything like kind of went down, but very loosely based on real events.
Was it good? I
enjoyed it.
I want to see it.
Very artsy.
Love me a period piece. Well, love me an artsy, so it's okay. I heard Kristen Stewart like bodied it.
No, yeah. She put her kneecaps into this one, guys.
She ate from what I hear.
She ate.
Left no crumbs.
No crumbs. But there has been some controversy with this movie in regards to casting, specifically Zazie Beetz' character. But we can get to that.
Really?
Yes. We can get to that later.
Why don't you open us up with that?
All
unless
right,
you're not done with your initial.
No, I'm done with my initial thoughts. I loved it. You know what it is, an 8.5 to a 9.
To a 9. Okay.
I would watch it over and over again. Yeah. But here we can start off with the Zazie Beetz character. So, Mary Fields in real life is in fact a very, very dark-skinned woman.
Okay.
The controversy, as found with most films in which this is done, for example, The Hate U Give, is the one that comes straight to my mind, where especially if you're basing it off of actual people and the actual person happened to be a fairly dark-skinned woman, but then you want to like cast her as a very light-skinned woman, not white passing, but very obviously light-skinned woman.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be some controversy surrounding that, especially considering she's the love interest. And I see, as much as I love Zazie Beetz, I completely understand. Like it always comes down to like, you couldn't find no dark-skinned women with an afro that could sing, that are good actors. None. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I this was a conversation we had, I think, in regards to In the Heights as well, is
Yeah.
what I remember talking about it with. Yeah, I'm conflicted too because I really like Zazie Beetz. I mean, I thought she was really
I
great
thought she bodied it.
yeah, and like I loved her
Mhm.
in Joker. 'Cause she was his imaginary girlfriend in that movie.
Oh, yeah, she
um,
was.
and
Still
and
don't
I
know if she died.
we
R.I.P.
will
Zazie
we will never know.
We'll
R.I.P.
never know.
But I really like her as an actor and I like her performance and I like this take on the character. Like I really do enjoy it. Little frustrated that they relegated her to a damsel in distress for like
Right?
for a third
The
of the movie.
majority of
Yeah.
the movie.
But that was
They
like
didn't really subvert it either.
that was genuinely frustrating. Like she was
they
locked
like
up.
came out and said it too. Like
For-
they're like,
for
oh,
the-
the damsel in distress. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
for real?
The second act had her entirely locked up, and then she did get to have a cool fight at the end. But that was about it. And I was just like, oh, that's a little
Bro, she really
disappointing.
smacked the taste out of Trudy's mouth, bro.
I know,
Teeth,
I know.
like, dang, that was also. This movie is considerably violent.
It is. It is.
So for our
Mhm.
younger viewers, it is rated R for language and violence. There's a lot of blood splatter, a lot of language. Yeah, a lot of up close combat. I think the most brutal scene for me personally would be Rufus beating the like gold teeth out of
Oh,
the
yeah.
yeah. That was rough.
I mean, I'd say it's
Mhm.
like, it was certainly less like bad. I don't know what the word is, but like, I would let my kids watch this before I'd let them watch like a Tarantino movie. I don't think it's that bad,
Oh,
but
definitely.
it's definitely like, not for younger audiences, but la la
Hey,
la.
kids, live a little, eh? Watch it.
Watch
See
it
some
grow
blood
up.
squirt.
Yeah, like come on, grow up, dude. Like really. But yeah, in terms of the controversy, I don't have a Casey, you really working that mic over there.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry.
Casey's
I'm sorry.
massaging the mic.
Riley can work it out. No.
Sorry, Riley.
It's I don't know how like much I really want to say on the matter, mainly just because I'm not super like educated on it. I don't know how much my input would really aid this conversation, but yeah, definitely disappointing to see that like it was not as good of a representation as it could have been. But from a fictional standpoint, nonetheless, Zazie killed it. So, it is you win some, you lose some, I guess.
Yeah, no,
Very
it's a
true.
very big balance between like the accuracy and like just how good the actor is. A weird connection to the In the Heights thing is that she actually grew up in Washington Heights. So, I mean, I know that there was a huge controversy over light-skinned representation in that movie, but in her case, if she was in it, would have been accurate because she actually lived in the place. But yeah, no, I think that I'm on the same page as James. My input isn't really exactly the most important thing. But like, I think that she killed it as the character. But I think that there was also a big opportunity here to maybe include an actor that was maybe lesser known, somebody like Jonathan Majors, who's just up and coming, that I haven't really heard of too much, because Zazie Beetz has been pretty popular for a pretty long time. But yeah, I think my biggest problem with her character is that they just made her a damsel in distress for a third of the movie for a reason that I didn't really understand. Why did she ride into town before the rest of them?
Yeah.
She thought she had it handled, and they handled her accordingly. That's
Wait, so she legitimately thought she could go in and make a deal with this guy and something would happen?
Yes, genuinely.
So
Oh.
stupid.
Dog.
Yeah. That's why Jonathan Majors, Nat Love, was like, girl, please. I just proposed and everything. And she's like, no, I got this. No.
Yeah.
No.
And Cuffy is modeled after Kathy Williams is the IRL for that, which I didn't know because I was sitting here Googling like a madman, like who is Cuff, like historical figure Cuffy. It was Kathy Williams.
Yeah. She said her full name, and
did I miss that? Yeah, that's another question.
Going
But
into the bank scene, I love me. She was giving very, very butch.
She was
Love that
giving
for
very
her.
vibes.
Very
Mhm.
yes. With the brass knuckles. Exactly.
Cuffy was Cuffy.
Cuffy
Simple,
was
as, simple
Cuffy.
as that.
Is Cuffy an example of like transgender representation on screen, or does Cuffy just like dress as a man to exist in a man's world, like some like Civil War era soldiers?
I mean, Kathy Williams was a African American woman who enlisted in the army.
Okay.
like
Yeah, so
Mulan,
definitely the
Mulan style.
second, yeah.
Definitely the second. Okay, because I was gonna say I'm not really like. Was it supposed to be a big reveal that Cuffy was actually a woman the entire time?
I don't.
Because like
I
I
hope
got that
not.
from
knew.
frame one.
Yeah, I think
'cause-
everyone sort of got it. I hope.
I think they just like wanted to confirm it and have that funny, like, oh, Buckworth thinks
Yeah.
she's cute.
yeah, for sure.
That scene was funny though. Buckworth
Mhm.
carried comedy.
He really
R.I.P.
did.
Rue.
R.I.P. I wanted to say I really liked. I just thought it was very clever how they sort of framed each ensemble cast like. How do I put this? They were sort of mirrors of each other. Like each person sort of had their match. Like obviously, you know, the obvious examples would be like Cherokee Bill and Jim Beckworth are like, oh, they're the quick drawers, and then it's like, you know, Nat Love and Rufus Buck. That goes a lot deeper when we get into the plot twists and turns, but they're very clearly like they're each other's match. And then Zazie Beetz and I'm forgetting Trudy Smith's character. You know, they were like they had their little matchup. I thought it was very just sort of fun that they were like sort of 1-to-1 with each other. That was just something I appreciated. I just thought it was very pleasing to me to see everyone like sort of giving very much like fighting your evil doppelgangers vibes. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, especially because of that reason, right? Like, it wasn't just that these are the same characters, same personalities. Like, they're the same in that they fill the same sort of role or occupation inside of the gang, but like they have different takes on what that role means. Like Cherokee Bill has a very solemn take on gunslinging and the concept of like death and being, you know, good at this thing that inherently brings a lot of evil with it. While what's the Beckworth? Jim Beckworth. Yeah, he is very much like, you know, shiny and flashy and just like, I want to be the coolest guy ever.
Yeah.
So that was very, as James said, satisfying to see.
You know, Charlie, what I couldn't stop thinking about while I was watching it.
Oh, what is this?
How much it reminded me
It's going to be Red Dead Redemption.
Yes.
of Red Dead Redemption 2.
Me too. Yes. No, like
Not
legitimately.
Yeah,
No,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just gonna say, not even in like overarching plot because they're not that similar, and not just because they're both westerns. All right, like I'm not.
Mhm.
It's not like those memes where it's like guy who's only ever played Red Dead Redemption 2 watching his first movie. It's like getting a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2 vibes. No, but it's like so many setups and scenes and specific moments were very much like I feel like that exact same thing happened. I like the one thing that stuck out to me was okay. Spoilers for Red Dead Redemption 2. Please, if you haven't played the game, do yourself a favor and play it. I thought Jim Beckworth was a lot like. Do you remember Sean in Red Dead Redemption 2?
I was thinking that exact same thing.
And you know, he's like the flashy young guy, and then his death is very unceremonious and rapid, and just comes out of nowhere. Like, because in Red Dead Redemption 2, it's this long cut scene, and you're all walking and talking and have a good time, and there is no like build up at all. It's just suddenly like blam, Sean just got shot. It's like, whoa, what? And that's exactly how I felt with Jim. That gave me similar vibes. The shot of them all walking up into the town, I think, what was it, Rosewater? I don't remember the name of the town. Rosewood.
I feel like
the shot of them all walking up into Rosewood was like, reminded me a lot of the shot of the Vanderlyn gang walking up to Braithwaite Manor in that one mission. It's just a lot of little things where I was like, I'm not trying to accuse anyone of copying or anything, because I think that's just stupid and not at all the case. But I was just like, wow, love this. Why am I seeing so many Red Dead Redemption scenes here?
No, for sure. Like the Red Dead Redemption influence was very strong. And I'm curious to see how many like big cast westerns have multiple people die like from that cast. Like it happens in Seven Samurai where I think it's two of the samurais die. And obviously Seven Samurai is like is Magnificent Seven, and they're both I mean they're both sort of westerns, right?
Yeah, those you can refer to either one of those movies in any conversation and it means the same thing. They're like completely swappable.
Yes,
but you're right.
But like, it's a trope that I really like seeing because what it means, at least for me, knowing that it's very easy for them to kill the side characters off. Every frame is torture for me to watch because I can see the way that they're like setting the character up on only one side of the screen, or like they're framing them in a really weird way that's reminiscent of how another guy got his head shot. Like, it makes everything so tense and anxiety filled, and I loved it.
I was really scared. This is one of those few movies where, after that first death, Jim's death was sort of the wake up call to that things are real. I genuinely was concerned for the lives of everyone. Like, in that later scene with Cherokee Bill, I was like, okay, yeah, no, people are very probably gonna die here, and like it's just gonna happen. Because these are skilled gunslingers. Great handling of death.
And honestly, I feel like Jim's death, as sad as it was, like that was a great callback because he spends the entire movie getting told that it's like you can be as flashy as you want, but if you're gonna like get into a shootout with someone and it's about shooting them, and he got caught up in all like the theatrics. And I mean, the way that it went down, Cherokee Bill was definitely like shisty and like definitely like very like sleazy with the he counts so slow. Like, bro,
he jumped down.
Yeah,
not
you
cool.
you didn't respect, like that's like a whole nother thing. And especially having the reputation of like, you shoot people in the back. You jump the count, you do all this stuff. Like you're just not, like he thinks he's all this like super like righteous. I'm like, I don't want to be killing people, but you are quick to to be shady with how you kill them.
Yes.
But I just felt like it was a great callback to like, dang, because it hurt so bad, but like you knew it was gonna happen because he was being so like oh yeah, I'm gonna make a show about it. And Cherokee Bill is just not about making a show. And I feel like, as going back to the theme of kind of having like the foil, kind of like foils, like each person has their opposite. Like Cuffy immediately like steps up into Jim's like quick draw position when she has to face off between like Cherokee Bill, which also is a great callback to when they're like bantering in the woods, being like, I can draw faster than you.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was just so good. Like, and those are like the little things where it's like, you don't think about it until it happens. And it's like, oh wait, yeah, this totally makes sense. I've just felt like the movie did that really, really well.
Definitely.
Well, like with the callback thing, I agree with you. I think the movie on the whole does really well. But where it suffers for me is that I feel like too often it sort of forgets some of the more minor things. While it still remembers a lot of the main like dialogue callbacks in that same Cherokee Bill thing. Do you guys remember when he had the carved bullet for Cherokee Bill in the gun, and it specifically shows him putting the carved bullet for Cherokee Bill in the gun? This is a Chekhov's Cherokee Bill bullet. And that should come back later. And I was waiting for the moment when somebody picks up that gun and fires it at Cherokee Bill to kill him. And we had a really great moment with Cuffy when Cuffy kills Cherokee Bill. And I just wish Cuffy did it with that bullet, because it would have called back and totally tied up this arc. But it just felt like such a missed opportunity, because at the same exact time, Nat Love is actually searching through the body and he finds the gun. So I was like, please just shoot it at Cherokee Bill. But no, I'm done. I'm sorry, James. Please go ahead.
No, I interrupted you, my good man. That is, the fault is all mine.
You know what, gentlemen?
You know, it's a boys thing. It's a boy thing.
It is just
Oh,
a boys
yeah.
thing. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, this is for boys only.
You see this? This is for boys only.
You can't sit with us.
Okay.
There was literally
James, we
like
need her for content. It was so hard on French Dispatch.
Kasey, it was genuinely difficult. The hole that you fill with gaping. There was a textbook Chekhov's gun in this movie because the example that Chekhov used when making said term Chekhov's gun is that if there's a gun mounted on the wall in chapter 1, someone better get shot by chapter 3, right? That's what he said. Maybe I'm messing up the things, but it was a gun mounted on the wall was the example he used. Guess what's like the third shot of this movie? A gun mounted on the wall. And then it comes, then they use it. I was like, oh, it's a good old, that's like Chekhov's gun. Like that's it. He did it right. That's the thing. So that was just a tiny little like nerd thing I noticed. Yeah, but anyways, we can move on from Chekhov's gun now.
I want to say one last thing. Chekhov's gun for everybody listening. Please just start using it in conversations and analyses of movies with your friends. They'll think you're so smart, and it's the simplest concept.
It's the stupidest. We've brought it up for like probably 60% of our episodes. We've talked about it.
Every movie has a Chekhov's gun.
It's like
because
we're looking
it's
for
such
a point.
Good device.
Yeah. It's like
Yes.
we need to take Chekhov's gun. Yeah, this movie did Chekhov's gun really well.
Yep.
Can we?
What are they gonna say? No.
Yeah, it's like no, it didn't.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, it did. Can we talk about? We need to. Let me summon. Screw you.
No.
I'm going home.
No, please, no.
Can we talk about? Do you guys want to talk about the ending and the twists and turns of this movie?
Yes.
I was just about to ask.
I've
Let's
got
get
some
into
feelings. I've got some feelings, you know. So the twist is that Rufus Buck and Nat Love are half brothers all along, right? Let me just make sure I'm not messing that up. Is that they're half brothers, right?
Yes,
And it was
yeah.
Rufus Buck wants revenge on his deadbeat dad, but Nat Love, you know, had his dad was a good person for Nat Love. So there's, you know, this conflict between them. And it's a pretty classic revenge story. But I don't know. Some switch flipped in me, and it's like, I can't enjoy revenge stories anymore.
Okay, Red Dead boy. Really?
No. It's not Red Dead. It's not Red Dead. Red Dead's not revenge.
Sort of.
There's no revenge in Red Dead. Come on, Charlie. I'm just like, it feels like, I think, you know what it was The Last of Us 2. It was sort of that argument of like, oh, everyone wanted, spoilers for The Last of Us 2. It's like, oh, everyone wanted Ellie to kill Abby. And then the creators of the game were like, no, you idiots. Like, why are you rooting for someone to murder someone else? Like, that's not a good thing. And so when that reveal happened that they were actually half brothers and Rufus Buck was basically begging Nat Love to kill him in that moment, I was like, I don't 100% in good faith like know how I feel about him taking revenge. Like it didn't seem like a satisfying revenge kill to Nat Love. It seemed very tortured, you know. He didn't look like he wanted to do it. And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it's like, it's just a weird thing that nothing against, like, I'm not trying to act holier than thou or anything. Like, if you enjoy revenge stories, go for it. I think it's a classic tried and true plot thing. And it's nothing new for Westerns, like Unforgiven, True Grit. It's like revenge and Westerns go hand in hand, but it's just like, I just one day like questioned why my knee-jerk reaction is to be like, yeah, kill him. Like, yeah, when that's kind of a bad, like, that's kind of weird, like, thinking about it. And I don't know that this ending would have worked better if there was some sort of reconciliation. I believe that Last of Us 2 honestly did a good job with sort of a reconciliation ending without it feeling contrived. Like, sometimes forgiving someone can be harder for them than, like, being killed, right? Like for Rufus Buck, death would have been an escape, from the
Right.
sin of killing his father, right? Like death would have been a relief for him. So in a way, it's like, it would have arguably been like even more torture for Nat Love to have forgiven him, right? Or something to that effect, I don't know if that would have worked better as an ending or not, but it's something that I've been like thinking about in regards to this movie, because I feel like it asked the question of like, well, is this the right thing to do for Nat Love to kill this person? But then I'm not entirely satisfied with the answer it came to. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Like, have you ever like thought about this or had like anything similar where you're like, you find yourself rooting for weird things in movies? I don't know. I find this very fascinating.
Actually, yes. Very recent example, actually. High and Low is a movie by Akira Kurosawa in which basically a boy gets kidnapped and the police are trying to find the kidnapper. That is the most basic explanation that you'll ever get of that film. There's a lot more going on, I promise. But they really hate this kidnapper. Like they despise him because of how like morally bad kidnappers are. And one of the things that they do in the movie is to nail this kidnapper. They know if they get him on the charges of kidnapping, which they can easily do, they can prove this. He'll get only like 10 to 15 in prison, right? But they know that he's a worse guy than just kidnapping and that he'll kill somebody. He'll probably kill his accomplice. So the option of them is, do we nail him right now on the kidnapping charge, or do we wait for him to commit a murder so we can get him on that and get him executed?
I see.
Which, outside of the movie, the answer is incredibly obvious here. The second option is like bankrupt morally in so many different ways and is like the most flagrant example of police abusing their power that you can ever see.
Right.
But
this feels wrong. Yeah.
But in the context of the movie, the police have been the heroes up until this point. They've been trying to save the boy, right? So for just a second as an audience member, I felt this, and other people in my class who watched it also felt this. They didn't really recognize that that was like an awful thing to do. They just wanted this guy nailed, right? Because you're taught to see this kidnapper as like the ultimate bad person. And when you look back at it, all of us were like, oh my God, how did we not see this? Like, how did that not like register with us? And part of it is probably because Akira Kurosawa's movies are really hard to watch on a small, tiny laptop in a dorm room when your roommate's doing work. I think a big part of it is that you're just so swept up in this narrative. So I think that definitely, James, there's been moments where I feel myself rooting for really weird things. And like in movies, you need to take a step back and you need to really consider like, what are the motivations and what was the director trying to like communicate to me by making me feel that way? Or did I feel that way intentionally or not? So a very good point you bring up.
Yeah. And again, I'm not trying to propose an answer, Kate, but I'd like to hear your thoughts as well, Kasey.
Yes, I feel like that's such like a good point to bring up, because when I was watching it, like knowing how bad Rufus Buck as a person is, like the entire movie, he doesn't get redeemed at any point. Like even when he's like trying to make his appeal to the town, he doesn't even pretend like he's not going to use brute force, right? And so you're like, okay, he is objectively this bad guy. And I feel like from the movies that I've been watching, it's hard to like make any like come to mind right now. But there's definitely been points where I notice where the writers or the directors are trying to humanize their villains before something horrible happens to them. Right? So I feel like they're trying to like play on,
you know what it is?
Carnage
is what we're talking about.
No, it's literally
oh my
Carnage.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go with that. It's Carnage, where it's like, this person is horrible, and you think like the story would be better if they were just objectively horrible. But I feel like in this movie, they do the humanizing of Rufus Buck way better than a lot of the movies that I've seen. Like in Carnage, I didn't care.
Yeah, we do
Genuinely,
not care.
We do not care. But in this one, I don't know. I don't know if it was hitting. It was hitting some points where I was like, dang. It was hitting on like if it was hitting on like the daddy issues, if it was hitting on like the unresolved trauma, on the hurt people type train, or what. But his story, like genuinely, it was like, okay, this makes sense on how you ended up the way that you are. Is it okay?
Right.
No, but it's very obviously like you are trying, like this is like your last, like you were, it was more of like he was repenting.
Right.
You know?
And he
It was
wasn't
like a
asking for
confession.
forgiveness. He was like,
just like, I did
Yeah.
this.
now kill me, please.
Yeah,
right.
now kill me, please. Like he was so done with the person that he was that he was like, I can't keep doing this anymore. And even when like of course he's been outwardly violent towards Nat Love, but it's all about like even with the scar, the way that he was like, oh, you know, I gave you that scar, and Nat Love is like, oh, so that I'll remember you, and he's like, no, so that I can remember you, right? Because I feel like Rufus has gone through so many people that he's wronged, but he wants, especially someone that he had such like an intimate, like violent thing with his own brother, that he's like, yeah, I'm gonna put this reminder to you, but not only to myself, that that's something that I chose to do and I chose to go through with it.
Yeah.
And that's going to like, that's something that I feel like haunted him. And in that scene, and he's like literally like begging, he's like, please just kill me, to the point where it's like, even if you don't believe me, I'm still need you to like kill me, because he made it so complicated for Nat in the moment, because he knew Nat was coming in and he was gonna shoot him either way. So he's like, okay, let me get this off my chest. But he didn't want that to change anything. Like he knew that didn't make him a better person or anything. Like he knew he was still trash, and it was just really, really heartbreaking. Honestly.
But going off of that, it's like, which is why it would have been, if we really want, to see Rufus Buck suffer, right, as a villain, as a bad guy, that's why it would have been all the more impactful for a, like, I'm choosing not to kill you ending. Like, like that would have been, that would have broken Buck, right, even further. And so I'm just a little disappointed. Like the ending just left a little bit of a bad, like not even a bad taste in my mouth, but just like a confused taste in my mouth. Like, was this the right thing to do? Was this the right ending? I don't know.
I feel like a more compelling ending, because I feel like if we want to go on like the train of continuity that no matter what happens, Rufus Buck needs to be dead by the end, I feel like it would have been more compelling if someone else had shot Buck, like either like through the window, like when he was approaching Nat, and so that Nat didn't have to kill him, but he still had to sit with what Rufus told him.
I don't
feel
know.
like that would have been, I mean, for me, I feel like that would have been better.
Sure. I don't know that I would have liked that very much personally. Not to like dunk on you or anything. I'm not trying,
Dang, just break my ankles.
I know. Sorry. It's like, sorry, but bad idea. No, I don't think I personally would have loved that. I think I like the idea of forcing someone to just live with that. It's sort of buckle up. It reminds me of the death penalty conversation. I'm immediately unbuckling, because we're not getting
and immediately
to your point.
We're not doing that. I said that sentence was enough to make my point right there. But
wait, can I offer a third take?
You can offer a third take.
Okay.
Just one more. Just the third.
Yeah. I think you guys are sort of missing the most interesting part about Buck's character, and that's his note-taking system. I think it's very fun to, like, he's essentially taking notes when he carves the cross into Jonathan Major's head. I think I might take a a page out of his playbook and start doing that with
yeah.
people. Like, if I need to have a meeting with them, I'm just going to carve Monday at 3:10.
But it goes
into
even
someone's-
further because sometimes when like, have you ever been reading something and instead of an
Mhm.
asterisk, they do like a little cross? Like that is a footnote symbol.
he's leaving
But he's like,
footnotes
let's
on
end
people.
in this
They're like,
conversation.
we'll circle back to this.
We'll circle back to this. It's like you'll eventually find me.
I just want an entire cast of characters with like random notes on their head left by Rufus Buck, like get milk or feed the dog at 2 p.m. on Tuesday.
It was a reminder.
It was
Yeah,
a
maybe
reminder.
Could have added some depth to his character.
Show
I don't know.
him some paper and a pen. I'm begging.
He
I
never
can't keep
learned how to
doing
write
this.
with a pencil. That's the tragic
He's like,
element of his
"Only
backstory.
some plates."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's my third take. I think I win.
That's probably the best one of them. No, yeah, but so I just overall, I mean, I still really enjoyed the movie, but it's just definitely like going forward with movies in general, I've sort of been questioning my default desire. Like, why do we default desire violence or violent retribution? I mean, obviously, it's it's catharsis, it's sense of justice and all that, but like, don't do what's easy, right? Don't do what's easy, do what's right, man. All right. Let me
Gandhi
speak some
said that.
platitudes here.
Okay.
Yeah, buddy. Okay, dude, grow up.
Mom and dad murdered in front of you, huh?
Yeah. If I were in that position, I simply would have not. I simply would have chose to forgive him.
Right.
Forgive
He's like
him, yeah.
Yeah,
the
listen.
cross in the middle of your face, and you're like, I forgive you.
Rip to Nat Love's parents, but I just would have done, I just would have been better in that scenario, I think. I just know it.
Better.
Me.
Oh my god.
No, now I'm mad because I had something I actually wanted to like say. Oh yeah, I mean, it's a similar like conversation I've sort of been having with myself and other people who do like media analysis in general about like predisposition towards violence in media and why that is maybe a problem. And it's not even like the whole video games are going to make your kids violent, because that's no. But I think Last of Us 2 set the ball rolling with this whole like making you question like why do you want this person to die, and it's something that is much bigger than just like isolated revenge movies. Like I saw some really good video essays about like death and violence in video games, and specifically I think of Jacob Geller's I think it was like Worlds Designed for Violence. Was the essay where he talks about how like video game worlds are not designed to be like worlds, they're designed to be battlegrounds, which is and he's tied it into a lot of crazy stuff about like school architecture and how like schools are being designed around the idea that violence will happen there. And it's just really crazy of like why are we as a society thinking so much about hurting one another?
Yeah.
Same thing with games in like general. Someone, a friend of mine, Lisa Lotz, did an essay about like just violence is not something that's questioned in games. It's a given. Like it's assumed that you will be violent. Games don't have to justify to you in most cases why you are hurting these people. You just do it. Like it's just natural. Also see Jacob Geller's newest video essay, Time Loop Nihilism, for more commentary on that. But this is just, maybe this is like my synthesis for this podcast in general, is that like this movie has made me think a lot more about like the patterns of media and why I have the like implicit reactions to things that I do, when some of them are maybe not like, I don't want to be someone whose default is violence and bad things. So why am I rooting for that in my media? Anyways, the diatribe over. Does anyone else have any takes?
No, I mean, I completely get what you're saying, because honestly, what that brings me to is, when we were watching Schindler's List.
Not like, okay, for the record, not on the podcast. This is lore.
Within like, this is lore. Like this is in class Schindler's List. And the character of Amon, the Ralph Fiennes' character, when he
Yes,
finally
yeah.
gets killed, that moment for me was so satisfying. And I feel like it's obviously horrible because it's like that. He died like horribly, like he got hung. Like it was very graphic, very gruesome. But it was just like the watching him be this horrible, horrible, like unredeemable person the entire movie, and then finally getting like some semblance of the pain that he's was doling out the entire time was, I don't know, it just shifted, not like shifted something in me and I've wanted violence ever since, like not like that.
Yeah, no, I
But
get you.
it was just like, that's a main thing that I think about, where it's like this person, whether or not they like, I don't know. Now it makes me, never mind. This is a half-baked take.
Question yourself, Kasey. It's important. Think about this tonight. Think about this tonight.
So
Think about it tonight.
Hold on. Before we move off Schindler's List, I just wanted, can I drop a Schindler's List quote from Oscar Schindler?
Sure.
He says in the movie, it's interesting that you had that reaction, Kasey, because in the movie, sort of like a big here's the theme quote is when Schindler says that power is when we have every justification to kill and we don't. So it's like,
Yeah.
Schindler's List, why are you as a movie saying one thing and doing another?
Well, like, so I think the reason that we get a lot of these deaths on screen, at least from like a creator's point of view, like specifically for the games thing, the reason why violence is so often justified in games is because games are about verbs and doing, and typically things that involve violence have very like good verbs and feedback loops that you can easily see. So that's why shooters are so popular, is because it makes sense. Shoot gun, head explode, big blood cloud. Like people get that and they feel, you know, for better or for worse, satisfied for that. Like that's just how, you know, interactivity works in that medium. But in the term or in the space of movies, I think that killing as a thing with revenge it's just like visual shorthand essentially for a satisfying story, because it's a lot to dive into, like the moral question of like letting somebody live and that whole thing, and that eats up a lot of your runtime if you go ahead and do it. So unless your movie is explicitly about that, it's hard to include it. And I think the majority of people aren't like appalled when you show somebody, you know, dying on screen who in you know, probably the vast majority of the public's view probably deserved it. Like I don't think anyone's crying over a Nazi dying, right? Yeah. So like in that specific instance. So to me, it's just like, this is not entirely what this movie is about. So we're just going to go ahead and do it. And also like, that's historically what happened. And I think that Schindler's List, that quote about not killing, I personally agree with. And I think, James, you're entirely right by going like, I want more stories that have this, because I do too. But that quote is definitely sort of showing maybe some of the ways that we didn't learn the lessons from the Holocaust all the way through.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not like I'm advocating for a complete, like you can't show violence in your movies, because that's just, you know, I'm not crazy. But it's just more like,
no, it's a good question to ask.
I think it's worth thinking about, like the way and with what care do we handle, you know, the ending of a life. Like again, and you're totally right that not every movie has to ask those questions, but it's just like, if this is something that we're gonna do, and this is going to be a cornerstone of media the way that it is, I think it's worth, you know, it's worth asking the question.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, viewer, we will leave you with that question.
Does anyone have
the most
any
philosophical Socratic cinema yet?
And thank you very much for listening to it.
We go into the spiel zone immediately.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
think it's probably a good place to end it.
Yeah, I feel like that's I mean the main like thing I wanted to talk about. So I've said my piece. Yeah.
Any other final takes? I'm good.
All in favor of moving to the spiel zone, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Well, I hope you made it through that okay. I really am curious to know what you think about the matter. So please let us know in the comments what do you think about violence in movies? What do you think about revenge stories? Is it okay? Are we thinking way too hard about this? Or have you ever felt put off by revenge or anything of that nature in a story? If you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're on Spotify, go ahead and follow the podcast so you never miss a new episode. We upload episodes every Saturday at 12 p.m. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can also subscribe. Go ahead and drop a review while you're on Apple Podcasts, a rating. Let us know how we're doing so we can make the show as good as you want it to be. If you feel like you get value out of the show and you want to give value back to the show, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Socratic Cinema. We're entering into the season of giving, folks. It's that time of year. So dig deep and think about what Socratic Cinema means to you. And if it means like half of a Starbucks coffee per month to donate $1 a month to the Socratic Cinema podcast by becoming a patron, then think about it. No pressure. The show will always be free. There will not be paywalls or anything like that because that's gross and we're not that kind of podcast. But if you want to help us continue to elevate the quality and expand the Socratic team and make everything just like a well-oiled machine, even more than it already is. Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. We're professionals.
But consider becoming a patron. Once again, that's patreon.com/Socratic Cinema. Tiers start as low as $1 and go up to $15. And benefits go from getting your name in the description to verbal shout outs to asking questions in our Q&A section to episodes and videos early, new monthly patron newsletters. We sent out stickers to our patrons at one point. There's always surprises. There's lots of stuff in store if you become a patron at patreon.com/Socratic Cinema. This episode was made possible by viewers like you, by patrons like you. Thank you. Follow us on our social media. I
Need to rev up there.
Yeah, follow us on our social media. By the way, before we go, I have been spieling for a while, but Instagram, Socratic_cinema, Twitter at Cinema Socratic. So you can always know what we're up to and watch James learn how to use Twitter in real time. This is how I frame our Twitter account. But that's about all I got. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel for another episode of the Socratic Cinema Podcast. Adios, partner.
Adios.
Adios.